This episode of WTF. Just kidding, it's not that WTF. Or how about you'll be the judge of that? Anywho, so I just learned about this a few days ago because that's how quickly it's all happening. And whenever Congress tries to rush something through, whenever Congress does anything, I automatically think that it doesn't smell right, and then just immediately I'm suspicious. And what's happening right now is it looks as though they are trying to rush another bill to ban TikTok. So TikTok obviously is the huge popular social media app. It's been a topic of controversy a lot. You have Libs of TikTok who grew her social media by reposting silly things that people do on TikTok. A lot of conservative influencers on there. A lot of people of all backgrounds are on it and use the app. And one of the reasons it's been a topic of controversy is because of the things that are shared. People don't think it's appropriate for younger people. They think there's bad information or misinformation, all kinds of reasons as to why people want to ban it. I automatically call BS on almost all of those reasons, even when conservatives that I really like are doing it. Let me just explain to you why. It's a medium. Every social media app is a medium. YouTube is a medium. Instagram. And before it was TikTok, it was Musical.ly. Before it was Musical.ly, it was Tumblr. So it's just one more medium. And if you ban that one, another one will pop up in its place. I am all for just teenagers not having social media anyway, but I think that's more of a parental choice. I also understand that's very easy for me to say because I don't have kids. And maybe if I did or if I do, that might change. But I grew up with zero social media when I was a teenager. And honestly, it was a blessing. I was able to have a normal childhood, normal teenage years. I don't have to worry about things resurfacing, cyberbullying, anything like that I was probably too young for at the time. So I think that's a parental choice. And I do know some parents that they don't allow their teenagers to have social media. They're allowed to have texting, they're allowed to have their cell phones, but they don't have access to social media. So I think that's a much bigger conversation, and the problems that come with social media apps, the same problems are going to occur in every social media app. I think one of the real problems with TikTok is how it is probably more of a democracy than any other social media app, the reach that you're able to get, and the fact that people that are typically more successful in areas like YouTube or more mainstream areas, whether you're a regular journalist or a media company, they typically are not as successful on TikTok because people like to see each other. And that's one of the things that TikTok is. So you'll hear from conservatives the horrible influence. I don't buy that for reasons I just told you. Also, if you notice, a lot of conservatives that complain about TikTok will use it a lot in their videos to make a point. They'll use research that someone presented in one of those videos, or they use it to expose the left. So I just don't buy that reasoning very much. And what you hear from the higher ups, from a political level, their reasoning is obviously a national security threat. The CCP, the company that owns TikTok, is ByteDance, and they are a CCP company. But I'm going to go into why I don't buy that either. The first reason is Chinese nationals are the fastest growing demographic of people that are coming over our southern border. You had about 40,000, and that's just an estimate, that just in the past maybe month and a half alone in 2024 or 2 months, that we have already seen about 40,000 pass through, and it doesn't look like anyone's jumping up and down to take care of that. You also have a growing problem within the U.S. of Chinese nationals setting up grows all over. That's another thing to look at, the amount of grows and operations and farmland that are being purchased. So I think that would be one of your number one concerns. Also, keep in mind, we did let a spy balloon go all the way across before we did anything about it. We were just going to wait and see what happens. So I don't necessarily buy the security threat. Also, what I'm seeing here in Axios, and Axios even titled this Furious Congress plowed forward with TikTok bill after user result. Members of Congress are being flooded with calls from angry constituents after TikTok launched a new campaign warning its users that the Chinese-owned app was at risk for being shut down in the US. Why it matters. So this is what they're saying the reasoning is, beyond it being a security threat. They're saying a key House committee voted unanimously Thursday afternoon to advance bipartisan legislation that would force ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, to divest its ownership of the app within 165 days. State of play, the highly unusual 50-0. So that's what's unusual about this, how rushed it is, how everyone was on the same page, how all of a sudden this is an issue, and we'll get into this even further. Don't you worry. The highly unusual 50-0 vote in the House Energy and Commerce Committees, which unveiled the bill 2 days ago, alongside the China Select Committee, reflected the level of anger among some members about TikTok's pressure campaign. So they're not happy about this pressure campaign. They're saying, and TikTok did unleash this, they're saying, no, it's not a ban. We just want them to divest. Well, here's the thing. A year ago, they had hearings, and the CEO of TikTok was actually there. And after these meetings, they essentially came up with an agreement, and they had a plan. Here is the plan. This was a $1.5 billion plan, and this was their plan to ease the security risk and questions. So you can actually go on TikTok and read the whole plan yourself. You can research the plan. This is very public, and it is called Project Texas. Now, Project was, again, a $1.5 billion plan to put some security measures in TikTok. So TikTok's mission to inspire creativity and bring joy with more than 1 billion people using our platform. Okay. Project Texas is an unprecedented initiative dedicated to making every American on TikTok feel safe. With confidence that their data is secure and the platform is free from outside influence, we've spent the last 2 years developing a framework through discussions with the Committee of Foreign Investment and the United States, and we've spent roughly $1.5 billion on implementation of Project Texas. So they actually have a force of U.S. workers in the U.S. that provide security measures for TikTok. And this was one of the things that came after those committee hearings. This is something they had been working on for a while. So they have 5 key pillars: independent governance, data protection and access control, software assurance, content assurance, monitoring and compliance. All access to protected U.S. user data and systems that power TikTok in the U.S. will be monitored and tightly controlled by TikTok USDS. USDS leaders and employees will report to an independent board, not TikTok or ByteDance, of executives. And as someone that is on that app, I can also tell you, I do a lot of political content. My content that criticizes this current administration or just the government in general gets censored more on that app than any other app. You would think if it was outside influence that wanted to create chaos and get our information and all of that, they would care less. They would actually want you to criticize the government even more. So I will say that I've been censored more on that app than all of the other ones combined. TikTok, Facebook, or not TikTok, I'm sorry, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of them combined, I have been censored way more on that app. So there's that. And if you want to wear your tinfoil hat, if you want to put that on for a second, this project, they actually teamed up with Oracle. Now, if you know anything about Oracle, so again, big deal for Texas, big deal for Oracle, this whole project. If you know anything about Oracle, Oracle was actually founded as a CIA project. And the first project that they did, the first client was with the CIA. And then they decided to have their own company after that. But that's why it started. And now that's who is helping with control and security. So I just thought that was really interesting. I don't know what the whole motivation is behind this, but here's something else that happened today that was a little bit unusual. So they had a committee hearing in which they were discussing this bill, and after only about 20 minutes, they closed it to the public, which is one more piece of this that is rather unusual. So I never totally trust when things are that bipartisan, when things are that unanimous, when things are pushed through that much, and when they're telling us it's for your safety and security. Oh, really? Have you been to San Diego lately? New York, Chicago, Denver, just anywhere on the southern border? I feel like security isn't really on your mind about that. Anyway, that's the update with everything that's happening. TikTok is still pushing for their users to call their elected officials and tell them that they do not agree with this at all. Now, how this usually happens is they'll discuss this in a committee hearing. They'll start pushing the bill through. It'll go Congress, Senate, and then it goes on Joe Biden's desk. He can either sign it or veto it. If he vetoes it, he gets to be the hero and is really popular amongst all the young TikTok users. If he signs it, then it'll probably go to appeal to the Supreme Court. So that's what's happening with all of this. Let's see if there are any last minute updates before I go. I don't see, but I will say that Congress is not happy that there is a campaign to notify them. But that is the Democratic way, my friends. But this is something, when people aren't transparent about things, you start to question. If you don't want me to be a conspiracy theorist, stop being weird. Just be normal. And I won't be a conspiracy theorist. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. See you later. Bye.